Alright, let me see here. Alright, let me see if it's working at least. Sorry, I had to type something down real quick. This is really quiet actually. What the hell? That's too loud. Is this even... Alley oxen free. Why does this feel so quiet? Well, whatever. I'll just make do with this for now. Okay, I guess it'll have to do. Right, so finally saw Thor despite everything. It was pretty good. I think the best part was Gore. He was a lot of fun. There wasn't that much of him, but one of the things that they immediately establish is Gore's backstory for the MCU. I don't know anything about comic book Gore, so I'm going without any knowledge of the character outside of the fact that he kills gods. But the opening was strong. Instead of doing the usual like Marvel comic thing where they do the Marvel logo after showing like some comics and stuff, what they start with is they start with Gore, just right out the gates. Here's Gore on a dead planet. He has a kid. They're dying. The planet is very much dry. There's no water or rain. And it's implied that the planet's just dead. And Gore and the kid are the last things left alive on it. So, you know, he's walking with the kid, trying to keep her alive, trying to convince her that if they pray to the gods, that the gods will bail him out. You know, he's just praying for water, any water. And, oh god, my foot, what the fuck? Hold on. My foot really started hurting for a second there. But the first thing that they establish right out the gates is that like Gore's situation is dire, like end of the world dire. And right at the end, his kid dies. Right at the end of the sequence, and he's broken up. He's just completely downtrodden and everything. And right then he hears something whispering to him, and he sees an oasis. He goes there and meets his god, the god of light. And this guy is like an unbelievable fucking jackass, because the whole reason the god's even there in the oasis is because he just finished killing a guy who had the god-slaying necro sword, and he's so confident of his supremacy that he doesn't even acknowledge Gore as anything but an animal. And Gore's talking about how like he's begged them to save him. He's essentially like got expectations for a god, understandably, and the god just laughs at him. He's like, no, you're nothing. Like, you literally serve no purpose. You're just some dude. you know, Gore just lost his kid, so he immediately just reacts. He's like, I renounce you! And then, you know, the God of Light just starts strangling him because, you know, how dare he, right? And that's when the Necro Sword bails Gore out. Gives him the power to kill him. To kill the God of Light. And that's what starts the whole thing. And the sequence is pretty powerful. The only part I really don't like is the portrayal of the God, but, like, that's kind of the entire point. MCU gods are technically just really advanced people. Okay, this is the one I wanted.
Strike while the iron's hot.
And this one I can get later.
Ah. You got it.
But,
Strike while the iron's hot.
the story's good.
Be
The whole
careful
thing's
out
good.
there.
I love it. I do have some problems with it, mainly the humor. The humor's hit or miss. Like, there's some areas where it just really hits hard, and there's some where it's like, oh yeah, they're just playing, you're just dragging this out. Like, there's a moment where Thor just tries to convince everyone he's in control of the situation. Because Gore kidnaps everyone, all of Asgard's kids. So he's like, he's trying to calm everybody down, and he immediately does the most half-assed speech imaginable. Which is kind of fitting considering it's Thor. But it's like, man, could this guy just try any less?
You will fulfill your duty.
Like, you can immediately tell when he's full of shit.
Best of luck.
Yeah, they make it obvious, but there are entire moments like that where he's just like, he's obfuscating the truth to cover his pride, and it's like, man, come on, get out of this. Just stop. But, it was fun. It was just a good, fun movie. It wasn't amazing, but I take that back. Actually, there was one part that was really amazing. That was the resolution of the movie. The ending was good. It was just amazing. Like, the literal final moments where Gore and Thor square off, and they just make that work, you know? But how it goes down is, along the way, Thor sort of comes to terms with his fear of losing people, because that's like the entire reason he's the way he is right now, because he's messed up. Like, throughout the entire film, he's very obviously kind of a huge mess. And then the entirety of this film is just tackling that whole thing where, like, Thor throughout each movie is kind of just a... He's not a great character, but he also suffers a lot. And they address the real source of a lot of this, which is his crippling fear of losing his loved ones. By forcefully confronting him with that. And right at the end, like, Thor finally gets it. Right when Gore's finally, like, he's his plan was to go find eternity and get it to grant his one wish. And right at the end, Gore, he's lost his sword, so he's dying, because it was keeping him alive the whole time. But he's right there, he's finally won. And Thor figures it all out right in that moment. Like, what's most important in life. And he tells Gore. And at first, Gore's like, you're full of shit. And he's like, no, I'm not. You go make your wish. Do whatever you want with that wish. You won. I'm gonna spend my final moments with the woman I love. And this hits Gore hard. And Gore makes a really hard choice. Because he has this chance to kill every god. He has it. It's right there. But the whole reason this started was because of his kid. His kid dying was the entire problem. So he knows it's going to cost him his life. But he makes the difficult decision to trust Thor. To trust a god, so to speak. And he wishes his daughter back. And he basically begs Thor right as Jane dies. To, like, you know, protect my kid, look after her, please. But it's also like a very desperate moment because Thor is not known for being nice. Especially when he's just lost somebody to somebody else. and now that somebody's begging him to help, and it sort of cuts away, and you have to wonder, because the way it's leading, it's like, is he going to take care of the kid? Is he going to be a hero? You know? And yeah, he is. But it's just like the way they sort of hang on that moment, it makes you wonder at first. And that was really well done, because like, being vengeful is one of Thor's major character flaws. And here you almost have to wonder if he's going to be like that. But then you realize, oh yeah, this is the problem. Like, Gore and Thor are both vengeful characters. But Thor's figured things out. You know, he's finally figured out one of his major hang-ups. Okay, what am I looking for? Ah. Sarios. Good old Bassy. One of the things I really liked about it was Korg does a lot of weird sort of narrating things, where he tells the story of Thor in little bits and pieces, with like little retellings, and they're sort of like mini recaps, but it's mostly played for laughs, except right at the end where he like does one of the more serious recaps, like right at the finale. Thor and Gore's kid are like, they're basically like just father and daughter at this point. Thor's not Uncle Thor. And, you know, Korg's in the background narrating. He's like, this is the story of the Viking and his, space Viking and his kid, who fight for the people who can't fight good. And they are called Love and Thunder. I thought that was really cute. But yeah, like the kid's also doing a lot of fighting alongside Thor. Right at the end. Apparently that's just how Asgardians raise their kids. They're supposed to be warriors at a very early age. At least that's the implication. Now the highlight though was definitely like Thor's character development and Gore. Jane was an interesting plot point because like I'm not really sure I like that one that much. I mean, I like the idea, and I feel like Jane's inclusion as the mighty Thor, so to speak, gave an excuse to give Thor's hammer a unique upgrade, basically, because the hammer put itself back together, essentially. Apparently, it was never really broken; it was just shattered. But one of the major plot points, and like the biggest plot point, I think, because this is like the main thing. Is that Jane Foster is like suffering from cancer, stage 4 cancer. She's dying. So she looks for Thor's hammer thinking, okay, this can supposedly heal me. And it doesn't really do that, but it does. It does give her superpowers, essentially. So she essentially becomes a new Thor. But it doesn't actually stop the cancer, it just pauses it, but it also prevents her from healing naturally, because every time she becomes Thor, it actually blocks her human healing faculties. And this comes up right at the end, and Thor's just, he's like terrified because he doesn't want to lose Jane. The whole reason he's the way he is because he fears losing loved ones. And he's forced to confront this because Jane won't back down. She wants to help save the Asgardian kids before took in his bait, so he could lure Thor. Because the whole reason he's doing any of this is because he wants Stormbreaker. The Stormbreaker can use Bifrost on its own, and that can take Gore wherever he wants to go. The big problem I have with this plot point is it doesn't make logical sense, because why is it that Asgardians, an entirely advanced race of superhumans, whose science is so great that it's indistinguishable from magic, why is it that they haven't found the cure for cancer? Why is it that the other gods also don't have a cure for cancer? This was like my biggest issue with the plot involving Jane, is she had cancer, but she was friends with a god who could actually potentially cure it. They're like, no, cancer's stronger than the gods. Why? They don't allow it. It just is. It never occurs to them that while they're literally in an area just full of gods, that they could get one of them to help cure their cancer. Like, what the fuck? Sorry, it's kicking my ass. That's like a huge plot hole to me, because I kind of get why they didn't address it, but it's also like, man, it's stupid. Gonna actually die at some point. Ah! Free stuff. My favorite mechanic. You can mine Basarios. I'm glad they kept that in. It's always funny every time I do it. I did like Love and Thunder, despite the like glaring plot hole thing with like Jane's cancer. Jane wasn't really the best part, but she was a major part, which is part of the problem I have. But I really like the creative uses of the hammer she had, because the hammer was shattered, it could go into pieces. Right? No, wrong one. Wrong one. Why are you like this? But this basically made it so the hammer did like projectile attacks and stuff. It could just shatter into 1,000 pieces and just move around on its own. And it stays shattered throughout the whole game. But it's used creatively. It's not like, oh, this hammer is broken and therefore bad. It's like the hammer is literally, it's broken. It got an upgrade. It's cooler now. It's the better version of Thor's hammer. Okay, one recurring gag I actually did like, though. Thor's hammer being jealous. Stormbreaker, apparently, is just sentient now, I guess. Ah, shouldn't stop doing that. And there are a lot of scenes where Thor's like clearly wanting his old hammer back, and Stormbreaker literally come in and menace him, like it's alive. And you'll see entire instances where like Stormbreaker's just visibly jealous. And I don't get the point of that, but at the same time I did laugh a couple of times. There were like some scenes where Thor's just eyeing his old hammer that Jane currently owns. And then Stormbreaker literally just slowly hovers into the scene, axe part first. And you know why too. It's painfully obvious they're playing this for laughs. And it works kind of well in some instances, and it falls flat on others. That's the thing about the humor, is the humor is kind of like a shotgun. It's all over the place. There we go. Like, there are good moments, and then there are kind of just really awkward, oh, okay, that's kind of dumb moments. The part with Zeus really felt bad. Like, I get the point, it was to establish that most of the gods in the Marvel Pantheon are kind of just terrible people. We're hiding from Thor and trying to, like, intentionally go, oh, wow, yeah, no, Thor's totally not a threat. We're actually scared of him. But a major event does happen in this, like, huge Pantheon, this city, essentially. I think it's literally called Omnia City or something. It's a pun on Omniscience, but you know, Thor's always talking about how Zeus is his hero, Zeus is awesome, and Zeus comes in and Zeus is just a piece of shit. Like, straight up, he's an awful person. So he's just like the real Zeus. And then there's this one moment where, like, Thor has the audacity to talk back to Zeus, to call him a coward. And in response, Zeus tries to kill Korg, and it looks like he succeeds at first, because he strikes Korg with a lightning bolt. And Thor gets pissed off, and just straight up kills Zeus. And I'm looking at this and going, wow, this is going to have really bad ramifications for the future. And then, you know, Thor just laughs it off like, yeah, sure, the gods will just hunt us down and probably try to kill us. It's no big deal. Yeah, okay. Sure, Thor. Sure. And again, this extremely serious, weighty moment is played for laughs, and I don't really care for it that much. And what the fuck is going on? Hold on. Okay, that's drift. Gotta love the drift. Okay, how do I turn this off again? That. Oh, okay. I don't want this drifting in the middle of the stream, but the only solution I've ever found for it is to just turn it off and back on again. Yeah, no, that's a problem. Hold on. Hold on, pausing the stream real quick. Because I'm not even pressing any buttons, he's just walking right, so I'm gonna like turn this off and back on and hope that fixes it. Please fix it. Did that interrupt the stream at all? It probably did, didn't it? Let me check. Is it working? Is it working? Okay, it's working. There we go. All fixed. Once again, violence has solved all of my problems. Speaking of Korg, Korg's probably the best part of the entire thing.
Right side clear?
Like, he doesn't do a lot, but all of his commentary is either scathing or funny. There's some moments where it kind of meanders, but it's not bad. Also, he establishes a bit of a contradiction in the lore of his people. Apparently, all Korgans are just male. So, in like Thor Ragnarok, when he's talking about his mom, he apparently just doesn't have one. So he's either lying or just, you know, it's just bad writing. But it's not really played for laughs or anything. It's just like a thing Korgans have, where like how they reproduce is two male Korgans sing to each other in a volcano and hold hands over the volcano, and I guess their hand breaks off and creates a new baby. Which was fun. It was actually rather neat. Like, I have no problems with that. It just adds to Korg's character. Because he's just comic relief most of the time, but here it was like it kind of served the main plot of, oh yeah, love is important.
Arena action? Change our minds, did we?
That's the thing, the story really focuses on the idea that love is one of the most important things to anyone, including the gods. Love is the entire reason that Gore is killing people, because he lost his daughter. And apparently her name is literally Love.
Next time, yeah.
And that's like the main reason Thor is the way he is because he's afraid of losing loved ones, and that kind of cripples him as a character. Right. But like one of the biggest problems with Thor in the MCU is kind of addressed in Thor: Love and Thunder, which is just his crippling fear of loss, causing him to kind of become a terrible person.
I look forward to your safe return.
How are things? Let's get you fixed up then, shall we? Okay, good luck.
It's great
I'm trying to
see
reach
you.
Master Rank 10 right now by just running quests.
Please select the quest that best suits you.
So stuff like this, basically.
Best of luck.
Should probably also involve other players for a bit. But yeah, like the opening with Gore and the finale with Gore was great. It's probably the best way I could imagine any MCU film dealing with a villain. Thor didn't try to kill him so much as he was just trying to stop him. And like once he kind of got his answer for like what was wrong with him, what was holding him back as a person, he ends up giving that to Gore at the end. That changes Gore's outlook a bit and changes like his goal. But the funny thing is, Gore's probably one of the few MCU villains that actually wins. He gets what he wants. It's just that Thor changes what he wants at the end. But Gore wins. Gore beats Thor. He gets to eternity, the goal he set out. He achieves it. And I think the funny part is like, without Gore abducting the children, leading Thor on his own adventure, Thor would never have come to the conclusion that ends up helping Gore figure out like what's most important. So Gore the God Butcher was handled really well, I think. It's just there's not enough of him, and you don't really get an established character for him outside of he's just a really, really depressed, grieving father who's also a bit weird. And that's his character trait. Gore is just a really insane, depressed dad who lost his kid a long time ago and is killing gods now because they're actually terrible and deserve it. Like, I was actually cheering for Gore the entire time because I was like, man, these gods are awful. Like, even Thor's not that great. Thor is who he is, you know, like, one of the things about the character is he's always been kind of a flawed character. Because he's arrogant to a fault. Like, that's one of his main character traits. But they actually make that work here because he grows as a person a bit. And by the end, he's better. But he also lost a lot in the process. He loses Jane, and Gore gets what he finally wanted the entire time once he realized it. But he has to die for that to happen. So at the end, like, both Thor and Gore's kid are just sort of like, they only have each other. Oh, I remember this. It's the Charge of Death. My favorite. Time-honored classic. Really bad at talking about stuff, I tend to meander on without really thinking about what I'm saying. Come forth, I command you. Alright, tail cut. I'll take it. So yeah, I'd say Thor Love and Thunder is up there. It's pretty damn good. It's a fun time. I want to say it's a comedy, but like the climax of the movie really made me want to cry. Like, unironically, I kind of started tearing up because it hit hard. It seriously did. Because, like, the entire premise of the story just comes together right there. Because it really is about the gods being terrible people and deserving what Gore's sending to them. And then right at the end, Thor, because of the entire adventure, he changes. You know, he physically changes and he brings that to Thor. It was like a really impactful moment. And honestly, I thought it was great. Like, I thought that one part was probably the best. Right up there with the beginning with Thor. And both the end and the beginning were amazing. And everything else in between just sort of led to that. If I had to make any complaint about that, I'd definitely say the characterization of the gods, while accurate, still sucks. I don't care for that at all. Because they were just awful, bad people. Just flat out. Like, no redeeming qualities at all. Which, again, was a point in Gore's favor because he was out to get them all. He was entirely justified. So when Thor was saying, you shouldn't kill innocent gods, it felt kind of flat, because Gore was, like, 100% right. I give it a 7. I give Thor: Love and Thunder a 7, or maybe even 8, because the ending's really strong. It's probably got the strongest ending, or the strongest climax of any MCU film, which is saying a lot. But it's up there. Not because it's like action-packed or anything. It's because the climax literally brings the entire point of the story together so perfectly, and in a way that I genuinely think is just flawless. Like, I can't stress enough, the most perfect part of the film is the part where, like, Thor finally reaches Gore. He finally gets him to see it his way. And even when, like, Gore's begging Thor to look after his kid because he's about to die, almost think for a second that because Thor literally lost Jane in the same moment, he might not. And the fact that he even make that a question is really well done. But no, Thor becomes Uncle Thor. He looks after Gore's kid. He keeps his promise. And like the whole thing actually starts with a promise. That's the best part. Because Gore's whole promise that he'll kill every god isn't just like a small line. It's a big line in the opening with the God of Light and everything. Like he is, in that one moment, he's seeing the sword, the evil black necro sword, and he's like, this is my promise. This is a promise. It's not evil. It's my vow. I'll kill every god. And it's not a throwaway line. It's like the most impactful part of the entire sequence, because it's like the moment where you see like Gore go down the wrongest possible path for the rightest possible reasons. Because his kid died in the first place due to the negligence of the gods. And it ends with a god managing to keep a promise of his own to Gore. To me, that's just beautiful. That's really well made. So I'd say an 8. Thor: Love and Thunder is an 8. Its humor isn't great, but when it hits, it does hit fairly well. But the actual serious story beats are better, in possibly every way. It's just that the humor's it almost gets in the way sometimes. But it's there for a reason too. I think the funniest part is the repeated use of the screaming goats. They're actually kind of funny, because like, I don't know why, I just think the absurdity of having goats that scream like people is really fucking funny. And like, they use that as often as they can. It's not even there for a legitimate reason, it's just there for laughs. Because he got the goats from like saving a bunch of people as poorly as possible. Because Gore has his own opening, Thor has his, and it's him helping the Guardians of the Galaxy protect the temple. Oh, he destroys the temple in the process because he's a huge fuck-up. And they give him a pair of really loud, annoying goats the size of trucks that scream like people. And that's it, that's their thing. They're just really obnoxious goats. And throughout the entire thing, they just make repeat appearances because Korg is taking care of them. So I like to compliment Korg in a way. I think one thing I liked was when like Thor's flying straight into the moon that Gore is on. And he's flying straight to the moon that Gore's on with the goats leading the way because they're pulling a literal boat with Bifrost. And oh damn, I killed it. That was fast. And what ends up happening is like the goats crash into the moon because the moon's actually smaller than it appears. And they just start screaming, and it's like the funniest shit. Because you weren't expecting it. You were like, okay, so they're going to go to this really distant Oh, it's closer than it appears. No, I laughed really hard at that one because that was really well done. I think one of the biggest events in the entire film that kind of threw me off, because Thor passes it off as nothing, is when he just kills Zeus. Because Zeus attacks Korg because he's mad, basically. He's mad at Thor, so he's trying to get back at Thor. And, like, Thor just straight up kills Zeus. Like, full stop. He just murders Zeus in front of everybody after that. And then afterwards it's like, oh, well, I guess this will backfire on me someday very far away. The gods will hunt me down, it's no big deal. And like, Thor just straight up murdered Zeus. That whole sequence was wild, because it didn't serve any real purpose other than for Thor to get Zeus' Thunderbolt, which then went to Valkyrie, because Thor's hammer would not tolerate him having the Thunderbolt. It's sentient in this movie, so like it hates him choosing any other weapon. Like, Stormbringer is actually jealous of any weapon Thor uses that isn't it. And it's like a recurring gag. It hits and misses sometimes. Like before. I'd say the visual style of Love and Thunder is probably the selling point, because there's a weird, I wouldn't even say weird, there's a really good heavy metal 2000 aesthetic going on with the Thor movies, and they really hit that here. A lot of the backgrounds and stuff are really psychedelic. They look like they came out of like metal album covers a lot of the time. Like there's this one sequence where Thor is visibly trying to distract Jane from talking about their relationship by pointing out a bunch of space dolphins. And like, you see them and they're actually the most beautiful visual in the entire movie. Because they're these giant, well, dolphins and swimming through a nebula. It's really cool. Then there's like the first planet that Thor's on that he liberates the temple on. It honestly looks really good. Like visually, I'd say Thor: Love and Thunder is probably one of the most beautiful MCU films, and it had to compete with shit like, what was it, Multiverse of Madness? That was the one that I think had the most bizarre aesthetic, but in a good way. Like it was really surreal. But I didn't like that movie that much, in hindsight. I thought it was okay, but how to put it? Multiverse of Madness didn't go anywhere. Thor has one destination and it goes there, and it makes it clear that that's the destination. Whereas Multiverse of Madness, it meanders, but it doesn't do anything with that. The plot doesn't really go anywhere. It's just there. In fact, the plot literally resolves itself because Scarlet Witch isn't defeated, she just kills herself. Like, oh, I'm a bad person now, I shall drop this entire death temple on my head. That'll fix it. I'm like, okay, Wanda, sure. I'd say if I give Multiverse of Madness 5 or a 6, Thor: Love and Thunder is an absolute 8, for sure. no question, it's good. But it is, at the end of the day, and this is the important detail, it is a fun, dumb, action superhero film that mostly just tackles
Okay,
Thor's
good luck.
biggest problem as a character.
I have faith that you will fulfill your duty. Please select the quest that best suits you. Come again.
Now, I've had to struggle to see the movie, though, because, like, for the past 3 days I've been trying to see it, but I keep getting up either too early, too late, or something else comes up.
Well, hey there.
I finally got to see it, but, like, I woke up really early and tried to sleep for 3 hours, and it just did not work. And I was like, you know what? I could just play it safe and stay at home with 4 to 3 hours of sleep. I'm gonna go see this fucking movie. I'd say it was worth it.
Ooh, I'm itching to get started.
It was definitely worth it.
Alright, let's make it happen.
Rathian Great Sword. I want to make the Rathian Great Sword. So you need a good poison weapon. While the Great Swords I do have are good, they're not what I'm after. Rathian has a lot of raw though, so it works. I think my biggest complaint, and this is really like a
But
minor
everything
one,
Master Hammond taught me to good use. I can swing whatever you
is that there wasn't enough of Gore. Gore was in it for a lot, but like he didn't do much. He just, you know, he comes in, he uses the Necrosword to summon monsters to abduct the Asgardian children as part of his dastardly plan to lure Thor, and more specifically, Stormbringer, to the world where he's most in control, so he can like take Stormbringer and use it to find eternity. Because Stormbringer can use Bifrost, and I think this is like one of the other major hang-ups of the plot I have, is like the entire reason they travel is predicated on Thor using Stormbringer, which has Bifrost. But then people just start arbitrarily traveling across the universe to the destination with other stuff, like, you know, I can kind of believe it with Zeus's lightning bolt, you know? Of course, the King of the Gods would also have a super cool weapon that gives him the ability to travel anywhere. That's okay, I can believe that. But then Thor rides into the final battle on a Pegasus, and I'm like, okay, what is a Pegasus? Why does a Pegasus know where this place is? How does it travel instantaneously across the universe? The film likes to stretch the limits of believability a bit, to its own detriment, I think. But it's minor stuff, like, you know, Jane has stage 4 cancer. But surely the gods can cure it, and, you know, they never even address that. Well, they kind of do, but it's like a dumb thing, because, like, Jane thinks the hammer can, Thor's broken hammer can fix it, and it kind of does, but it has, like, a huge drawback where it only puts it on pause and actually stops her from healing after she turns back. So she's not really fixed or cured at all, she's just powered up. And power up is hurting her. And like I said, Jane dies at the end. Right alongside Gore, in fact. Like, she and Gore both end up dying. But, like, the resolution is peaceful. Jane's cancer finally catches up to her along with her choices. Gore's sword was keeping him alive the entire time. Once Jane shattered that, he was living on borrowed time. But the resolution isn't bad. It takes that and actually uses it to its advantage. Because again, the main plot point of the story, the reason Gore is doing all this is because he thinks the gods are all evil. They're terrible, self-centered people, and they'll never help mortals out. And the whole story is about Thor developing into a good god, or a better god. A god who actually gives a shit about people in a way that matters. So Gore, despite being his enemy, ends up entrusting his daughter to Thor, and Thor does the responsible thing despite having just lost Jane in the same moment. And that was the entire point of the film. it was character development for Thor and Gore, because they were both very flawed characters. Gore because he was really vengeful, and Thor because he was hiding from himself and his own crippling fear of loss. And the film forces him to confront that head on, like he has no choice. It's really well done. Okay, where was I? Wanted to make the poison sword. But I can't. What am I missing? I have a lot of poison swords too. So no, I'd say the way the plot sort of rounds itself out, it gives me the same vibes as Zato Ichimitsu Jimbo. There's a lot of stuff that comes together right at the end, and it comes together beautifully. That's Love and Thunder to me. I mean, it's not nearly as well written as Zato Ichimitsu Jimbo, but it comes together really, really nicely. And I honestly just, any movie that makes me feel the way I did seeing that ending was like, yeah, okay. This is a good movie. Okay, for this I need Sir Spikes. Leaves that I don't want.
Bye now.
Thank you for stopping by. Take a look at the quest list. You'll do great.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that's the thing. The climax of the entire film almost had me crying. That was good. That's amazing. The fact that any film can make me almost cry, borderline cry. Feeling things at all from a movie is really hard. Because you don't normally have an investment. Like, the climax between Thor and Gore had me fucking invested. And like I said, the way Thor handles it is beautiful. Because he doesn't try to win. He doesn't try to beat Gore at the end. Because Gore's won. He's got what he wanted. He now has his audience with Eternity. There's nothing Thor can do. So Thor, instead of trying to beat him by, like, actually fighting him, just says, you know what? Okay, fine. You win. You're gonna kill us all, but I'm gonna stand by my woman. By the woman I love. And I know for a fact that you're looking for love too. And at first, Gore straight up thinks he's full of shit. And then, like, the way Thor frames it, it hits Gore like a truck. And you can even see it. Like, the moment it happens, he's like, wait, maybe this god's onto something. So it was a good movie. Could have been better, but it was good. That's really what I want from, like, a Thor movie. It's just fun. Alright. But enough about that. That's all the Thor spoilers I'm gonna throw at everyone today. Now it is time to kill monsters. For a bit, at least. Just want to fall asleep because I've been up since 11. Oh, okay, that works. Yeah, all the quests tend to take about an hour. It's the ones that take 15 minutes that you gotta worry about. Okay. Okay. Seems to be minus right now. Got one. And the curve. I'd say definitely see Thor Love and Thunder if you can, just because it is a lot of fun to watch. It was worth the price of admission. Do I get this? Of course I got this. Oh, he got the Dragonator. Great. Really should have gone for the Eldraine here. Honestly, that one attack is really strong. God. Come on, Blood Red, heal me. Come on. Heals. Yes. See, Blood Red heals you based on damage you do to broken monster parts, but you have to hit the broken parts to make it work. That's not easy to do when the broken part is really tiny. It's very dependent. There we go. These tactics, you just, hit the monster really hard. Skill is for the weak. Now, I think a lot of writers for the Marvel Cinematic Universe stuff are starting to sort of run out of, I wouldn't say run out of ideas, they're falling into a bit of a rut. Like, Taika Waititi is the funny guy, basically. He's the guy who makes a lot of jokes. And a lot of these aren't very good jokes, but he makes them. That's his gimmick as a director. He's the funny man. Sam Raimi is the horror guy. He's Evil Dead guy. You bring Sam Raimi in to make really well-written villains, but also, like, goofy, funny moments. Really cool, standout, campy horror stuff in an otherwise straight-faced Marvel film. And I feel like it's beginning to really become obvious that, like, not a lot of these guys have anything outside their rut. I don't mind Taika Waititi handling Thor because I think he's the best choice, but sometimes I wonder, man, what if he did more serious stuff, like with gore subplot and everything? Because when he actually takes a moment seriously, it has weight. It's when he's trying to be funny lately that it just doesn't feel good half the time. Like, oversaturating your stuff with jokes it only works if your movie is actually funny. If the jokes actually hit. That's one down.
I have faith that you will fulfill your duty. Here's the list of quests.
There's a lot here. Good lord. Oh, one at a time. We'll send you join request for this one. And finish this chicken off while I'm at it. See, one problem I have with, I'm gonna go on a bit of a tangent here, but Multiverse of Madness, I was expecting that movie to be good, right? And it's kind of not. It's fun for what it is, but it doesn't do what I expected it to do. See, I'm not even sure if there's supposed to be like a climax to Phase 4 of Marvel, which is the Multiverse Saga, basically. But, if there was supposed to be one, it isn't in Multiverse of Madness. It's not a conclusion or anything, it's just, oh yeah, Wanda is evil for some reason. Some really arbitrary, hard to relate to reason. See, Scarlet Witch is the villain of Multiverse of Madness, but she's the villain for a really dumb reason, which is the kid she dreamed about that exist in her mind are real in another universe. And they kind of try to establish this idea that, like, yeah, okay, dreams are a window into the multiverse, so yes, in some capacity, her kids are real somewhere, just not here. But she still wants them. She still wants them to be alive and real, instead of, like, fictional versions that she made up in like, a weird dreamscape in some TV show nobody really watched. And, like, they really established that she's not doing this for very evil reasons, just self-centered ones. But she goes into full villainy really hard. Like, she's just a straight-up horror villain. And I feel like she's not a very well done horror villain. Like, at least they came up with a scary witch, but so what? You know? Like, well, what's the point of that? Nothing else that kind of highlights the hypocrisy of Doctor Strange, but that's one of the main points. Because, like, Thor is a character study of Thor's flaws, Multiverse of Madness is a huge character study of Doctor Strange's. Only Doctor Strange comes across as a way more terrible person as a result, whereas Thor's he's just flawed. But, like, one of the main points of Multiverse of Madness is that, like, Doctor Strange as a person is the guy who's normally willing to sacrifice his moral standards for the greater good. And the whole movie is about how that's a really bad thing, and here's why. And then it, like, straight up shows a version of Doctor Strange who's about to kill a kid, because if he doesn't, Scarlet Witch gets her powers and can rule the multiverse. And he ends up dying, like in the opening act, and it's like, okay, see that? That's why Doctor Strange bad. And here's why our Doctor Strange is slightly better, and they basically just show a whole story arc of him confronting this one major problem with his character. And the funny thing is, Spider-Man No Way Home is the entire reason it's the way it is. Because No Way Home essentially turns Spider-Man into sort of a weird moral compass for Doctor Strange. Because the whole story is about Spider-Man wanting to save the Sam Raimi-verse villains from being killed in their respective universes. And partway through, he loses that because Aunt May dies, but he still tries anyway. Like, even though he no longer has any reason to want to help these people, especially Green Goblin, he still does it. But he almost loses his temper and kills Green Goblin, too. Which shows that, like, even he has, like, he has limits, and Green Goblin successfully gets under his skin. But, like, thanks to Sam Raimi, Spider-Man, all the Spider-Man, really, of the Marvel Cinematic Universe now, he ends up doing the thing that Doctor Strange swore up and down he wouldn't be able to do. Because he thought it was too much of a risk. So, like, that was, like, the start of the idea that Doctor Strange isn't really a great character. He's kind of an asshole, actually. But it was also like this character arc for Strange, because here's a kid, a really dumb kid, who's better at being a hero than he is. And Multiverse of Madness kind of plays off that idea, you know, that Doctor Strange isn't a good person. And he's forced to acknowledge that, both from the fallout of Spider-Man, but also like the movie itself, kind of just studying this idea that all other versions of Strange are just bad people. They're greater good hypocrites, essentially. And as a character study of Doctor Strange, it's good. As a story, it's bad. And that's my hang-up with Multiverse of Madness, is the story doesn't really go anywhere. It doesn't do much of anything. It puts Strange under a microscope for no specific reason, and doesn't do anything with that. Thor: Love and Thunder, it does something with that. It's character development that serves for a purpose. There's a functional reason the plot plays out the way it does, and ends the way it does. And that is because of Thor's character development. Like, if Thor hadn't come up with the answers that he does, he wouldn't be able to handle the problem the way he does. And they make that abundantly clear in the movie. Ah, shit. I do feel like a lot of Marvel movies are good. I think the best part of Civil War, for example, was probably the subplot with Tony Stark finding out that Bucky killed his parents. And you know why, but at the same time, you try arguing with Stark over that, because he literally knows for a fact now who your parents' murderer is. And he just straight up wants to kill Bucky. And the reason it's called Captain America Civil War instead of Civil War is because it's the Captain America story. Captain America is the hero of the story. And Tony is like one of the antagonists, essentially. But Civil War is good. It's well done. You know, it brings everything together in a very good way. I think the only part I didn't like was the airport fight. It felt pointless. Like, I like the airport fight as a functional thing for fun, but I also think the airport fight as a story bit wasn't good. I've never really seen Winter Soldier. I just know who Bucky is, because like, it's immediately obvious he's Winter Soldier. Like, I'm aware of that plot point, but I don't think I've actually seen Winter Soldier itself. I've heard Winter Soldier's a really good Captain America movie, because it's one of the few where he's just straight up doing Captain America shit. Like, he actually acts like a superhero instead of just a dude in a Captain America suit. Oh shit, I think it's near death. There's a Captain. Did I get it? Okay.
I'm here to help.
Join the fun.
Get ready!
But the MCU films in general they feel like hit or miss a lot of the time. There are elements in some of them that work, and elements that don't. Oh yeah, for sure. I beat that thing's ass. I soloed it single-handedly while talking about Captain America. 'Cause I'm awesome. My life is fucking empty. Anywho. But you get the point. Like, I feel like the MCU movies could be better, but I am glad they exist because we didn't really have that many superhero movies back when I was a kid. We had a few, but they weren't very good. These are, I want to say they're like fast food, you know? They're good. They're fun. They're enjoyable. They're not healthy. They're not really high quality, but they don't need to be. I really do think we take the fact that we have like decent quality superhero movies coming out pretty much regularly nowadays for granted. Because it just flat out wasn't a thing back in like the 90s or the 2000s. They couldn't consistently get it done because budget, writing, directors were hard to come by, writers were very hard to come by. We're lucky we have what we have today. Hell, monster movies like Kaiju, Godzilla, that's making a comeback. I'm glad. I'm glad we actually have better and better movies these days. Even if they're just average quality. Oh yeah, for sure. I feel like even if we're being saturated with superhero movies, I like being saturated with superhero movies. I like that. I want that. I want my fast food superhero movies. You know, I want these coming out like as regularly as they can, because it's kind of surreal that we have Marvel movies with as decent quality as they have. You know, I remember a very long time ago, I saw a Marvel movie, and it was, I think it was the Phantom, or maybe it was the DC character, I'm not sure. It was bad, though. It was not good. There were a lot of old school Marvel movies that I just flat out didn't realize were Marvel at the time. Like, Blade. I legitimately did not know Blade was a Marvel character. I thought it was just some movie about a vampire dude killing vampires. That was it. It never occurred to me that he was a comic book character.
Yep.
Oh, I can't wait for this to backfire horribly.
There's a special quest for you. Take care.
Okay, better heal up, or get some food started and get ready. Also, level A star. That's concerning. Like, it's not a level star, it's a level A star. Yeah, I found that out a really long time after, like, watching movies. Yeah, Blade is a Marvel character. He's always been a Marvel character. I did not know that. So Blade was among the first seriously decent Marvel movies ever made. Which is funny, because Blade isn't actually that great of a movie. But it's good enough. It's campy, it's fun, it's action-packed. I like it. But yeah, all the Blade movies are based off the Marvel character Blade. So they're literally Marvel movies. But you can imagine my surprise when I found that out. I was like, oh my fucking god. Can't believe this shit. It's actually even funnier. Blade makes an appearance in the Immortal Hulk. I was reading the comic and he shows up there and I was like, oh boy, I can't wait to find out what happens to Blade here. And then Hulk punches Blade across the city. That's it. That was Blade's cameo. He just gets knocked into a completely different district by the Hulk. He never shows up again for the entire run. He's just there 1 second. Hulk trash talks and punches him, and that's it. They did Blade dirty. Speaking of which, the Hulk seems like he's really hard for people to write, because the last two actual Hulk movies we had were both terrible. But one of them is still considered canon to the MCU, or at the very least it's considered a type of weird apocryphal, but not really canon. And apocryphal means it might be canon, or was canon, but it isn't. That's the state of the Incredible Hulk movie, not the character. It's really not like it's not good, and for whatever reason, the MCU hasn't tried to disown it. It's just, it might be canon. That's it. That's the extent of their acknowledgement. Like, they do sort of touch on it in the Marvel What If, but past that, they never actually show anything substantial. It's just, oh yeah, the Incredible Hulk, the events of the Incredible Hulk sort of existed. Okay, afflicted monsters. What do we got? Surrounded by Curio. No idea what I'm in for, but it looks bad. Oh, that's good to know. Monsters explode now.
Right.
This is just the hybrid mechanic with extra steps. Uh-oh. Ruh-roh, Raggy. I better hurry. Okay, so I've got to like hit these slowly gathering parts as much as I can. And that causes extra damage to him. Right. Okay. Okay, I've got the gimmick down. Hopefully he doesn't explode and kill me. 'Cause that would be bad. That would suck. Wow, okay, that did nothing. And they put blood light. Of course they do. Jesus. Okay, he's still gathering parts. About to die. Oh, fuck! Oh, fuck! This is not kosher at all! Doing the thing again. Cool how Bloodlight in this case is actually encouraging you to just hit it really hard, really fast. Because the bleed damage is actually kind of negligible. The healing is not. Okay, pacified. Uh-oh. Doesn't seem too bad. Okay, rage. Come on, fall in the trap. Fall in the trap. Sucker. Yeah. Yeah, I really do hope they come up with a Hulk movie, but it's actually written well, because I don't feel like they can actually do the Hulk very well. They haven't been doing it very well at all, but I feel like because tackling the Hulk requires you to tackle very uncomfortable subject material, like abusive parents, for example. Because Bruce Banner's dad is a terrible person, as I found out in the Immortal Hulk. He's actually like the textbook definition of a really evil father. The more fucked up thing is he has kind of a legitimate seeming reason to be as paranoid as he is about his son, because he literally thinks his son is a monster. And you find out later on there's the actual reason for it is because his dad saw the Green Door, which is the source of all gamma, essentially. And he legitimately thought that, yeah, okay, his son is evil, his son's the devil. Shit. But then you think about how it affected Bruce, and you're like, no, it seems legitimate at first, but it's actually really fucking stupid, and he's just crazy. Like, he's unironically just a bad person who thinks he's on this crusade to stop his devil son, and ends up creating the monster that he fears in the first place. That takes a bit of nuance, because, like, the Immortal Hulk is a story entirely about Bruce Banner's problems as a person, and why the Hulk even exists. And that's hard as fuck to write. Like, I'm amazed they did it so well. Can't find a single opening here. Okay. Like, I feel like it can be done, because the comics exist, and the Immortal Hulk is one of the best Hulk comics ever. I can't stress that enough. It actually perfectly encapsulates the Hulk story. It also does a lot of, like, really cool visual callbacks and stuff. Like, the entire sequence for Bruce Banner's past and his relationship with his father, it's done in like a really old, I want to say Silver Age style of comic book drawing. So it looks old. Like, it looks like the old school comics from back in the day. But the subject matter is very much contemporary, and specifically about Bruce Banner's dad being a paranoid, crazy person who abuses him every chance he gets because he thinks his son is evil. Because gamma. Honestly don't know what they could do to get a good writer on a good Hulk movie. But if they did it, it'd be amazing, especially with Mark Ruffalo. Like, Mark Ruffalo's Hulk is good. They just need to put him in a good movie specifically for Hulk, instead of the hands-off approach they've been doing lately. Now, they even have a good story with the Immortal Hulk. They could just do that. Hell, World War Hulk might work. That's really good too. thing is really strong. Honestly, if they just added Wesley Snipes' blade to the MCU, that might be cool too. I don't think they've ever seriously tried to do that. Okay, the bear's asleep. So I just need to kill it now, because it's, you can't capture, afflicted monsters, apparently. Only kill. Hell, murder, kill. Death. Death to the willy-nilly silly old bear. Still surreal that they're coming out with like a serial killer Winnie the Pooh story. It's gonna be awful and I want to see it. Like, I actually want to see this movie just because it's gonna be so fucking stupid. It's gonna be actual fucking garbage. I want it. Okay, gotta hit his button. Hit his head. Hit his head. Hit the head. Is that? That looks blood. Uh-oh. He's going kaboom! The big kaboom is coming! Get away! Get away! Okay, there he goes. Oh, he's got more explosions. I just don't want to get hit. I don't want to get hit with that one attack. Winnie the Pooh is pissed. He's out for blood. We don't call him Winnie the Pooh. We call him Winnie the Death Bear. Winnie the Exploding Bear of Doom. Winnie gonna fuck our shit up. Okay, I'm eating way too much damage here. Okay, so you just have to treat these like super crazy hardcore elite monsters. But they're basically infected monsters. For Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, but with like weird, I want to say, weird hyper mechanic thing going on. Where you hit specific body parts. Except in this case, instead of speeding its attacks up, it just explodes. Which doesn't really feel like the design, but eh. It's kind of the entire point. It's annoying on purpose, as a joke. Okay, and Afflicted Bones, and also Outfit Voucher Plus. Yes, finally, the true end game. I have no idea what I need to use the afflicted bones for. Outside of the super in-game upgrades, which I'm assuming that's what that's for.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Alright, more anomaly quests. Okay, better go ahead and talk to the blacksmith real quick.
Hey, good to see ya!
Okay.
I'll be here when you need me. See you soon! Well, hey there! Alright, let's make it happen!
Okay, what do we got? What do we got? Anything? Oh wait, hold on. This one can be upgraded with enough afflicted bones. Okay, it's not bad. What else? Okay, these are all really decent weapons, actually. But they're also lower end too, so that makes sense.
I have been wanting to be a blacksmith
Okay.
ever since I was little.
Yeah,
As you
okay.
could say, I'm
I see how it
something
goes.
of an expert at this point. Don't worry
So
about
afflicted
it.
bones are specifically
Grip
for
this here
stuff
hammer
that's
with
like
confidence.
super in game, but at the same time the lowest tier of super in game. So if I wanted to, I could just make this, which will immediately have like the highest poison to raw values of all the poison weapons. Oh, ifs, ands, or buts. Or I could just make bunny weapon. Or the dragon weapon. In fact, I want to make that one. That one's good. It's got purple sharpness, high raw, even higher dragon. That looks good. I'm gonna make that, I think. Seriously, it's really fun. Okay, I need to farm more afflicted bones to make any of these. I still have no idea what else Chiche has on the menu, but I can only assume it's more death. Or of me being killed.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Come again.
Okay, gotta hit MR20 to keep going.
Your spirit shines bright.
But we have more anomaly quests. Great Azuchi, Great Baggy, Great Roggy, you know, the usual stuff, basically. And it's all in-game stuff. So this is the end game, basically. The Afflicted Monster System.
Here's the list of quests.
Really wanna get more, I really kinda wanna hunt this again.
I look forward to your safe return.
Actually, wait, let me check the weaknesses for this thing. It's weakest to dragon and blast, strangely enough. That's useful info. Oh, goodness me. I got up way too early. I'm starting to fall asleep to myself here.
Ooh, I'm itching to get started.
I'm pretty sure I've created this already. So you want to get the Archfiend armor because it has like a bunch of perks. They're really good. Oh, that's right. I need to check to see if I can make handicraft decorations. I still need to forge those.
How are things?
I can make the crit element jewels now. So I may as well. I guess if I want to make handicraft, I've got to kill some Kushala Deora.
Hey, thanks.
Probably go ahead and do that first, actually. Alright. This isn't the best weapon for that, but it's up there.
It's great to see you. Take a look at the quest list. Best of luck.
Okay, see, this is an actual in-game, because there's like a point, you know, like, it involves actually grinding for stuff, instead of just making one suit and being like, okay, yeah, that's it. You killed the final boss, it's over, you've done it, you've beaten the game. Like, the in-game grind is part of the fun. Okay. I think after this I'm gonna take a break though. Or just go to bed really early for some insane reason. I'm not sure yet. But for now, I'm gonna go ahead and kill me a giant monster. Okay, that was it. There he is. This is master rank, so I gotta be careful not to die. Easily done, right? Now I just need to get some handicraft decorations, so... killing these seems like the best option. Holy shit, that damage. Okay, that was bad. This is not working. There's some poison damage. fainted.
Backup's here.
Okay. That didn't last very long at all. Oh wow, okay, he's mass carding everything. Yep, everybody's losing now. They realize their weakness. Come on, carding twice in an Elder Dragon quest? That never happens, right?
Need help?
Aren't 2 cards already? Man. Of course, their first mistake was coming in as gunner. You don't want to come into a Kushala fight as a gunner. What was that?
Backup's here. Smash you to bits! Here it comes!
Shit. Okay, I need a quick break. That was abysmal. Oh, goodness. That was pretty bad. I think I'm just gonna solo this quest or something. But later. I'm tired. Yep, pretty much. Ripperoni. Rip in pieces. Hold on, let me stock up first. I actually feel like I should just take a nap or just straight up go to bed. It's like 2 a.m., but I've been up since 11 a.m. Okay, let's see here. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna quit for now. Just probably take a nap or something while my clothes dry. Sorry to cut the stream short, but I'm feeling really